This is a CareyNMe production.
Guys, it's Mo from Mo and May, also representing CareyNMe today. So today I'm going to show you how to do 101 on edges tutorial for swoops. And so the things that you need is a edge brush, which is at half of it is a comb, and the other half is a brush, like a tiny little brush on here. And usually I use Eco Styling Gel. There's also Got to Be Glue, Gorilla Snot, like the monkey gorilla gel, and I think that's it. I think that's what you use. So I'm going to be doing the swoops today, as you can see. And I usually have this at school. If anybody knows me, they know how I usually do my edges. So when you usually do your edges, you either want them to already be wet or to already be brushed out or anything that you need any extra to your edges because you don't want them to look not fully done. So usually what you start off, you start brushing them down. It depends on which ones I need. And then since mine are already wet, I just put some gel on there. And it usually ends up swoopy. And because it's the way you have to brush them. There's also other edges that I'm going to have more tutorials on later. For my sister, she has different kind of edges that kind of, the swirls that go around. Yeah, that's usually it. And when you do it, you can either get the gel out the jar, put it on your head on your hair like this, or you can dip the brush at this tip right here and go like this. And usually they need to connect to your hair so they won't look like it's a whole separate thing. But usually after my mom does my hair, I get up and go to the bathroom and end up gelling it down and do this. And you just keep brushing outwards until you can get the size that you want. Sometimes they can be too big, sometimes they can be too small. Sometimes they end up uneven. It's okay, because some of them, I look on a lot of people edges and they have them uneven on purpose, so sometimes I do that. It looks really pretty too. And then after you go to swoop, you always want to line it with your comb so the swoop won't be outwards. So those are my first two on this side. It depends on the number that I usually do. Then you want to comb it out again. And you want to dip it into the Eco Styling Gel. And it depends on which Eco Styling Gel you use. I usually use the argan oil one because usually, to me, sets better. So after you put it on your hair, it usually sticks and it doesn't come off all day. Olive oil, to me, has kind of like a oily result. So when you put it on, it looks really shiny. So sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't, but most of the time I use argan oil. There's also the black and castor oil one that is glittery that I think I have right now in my room. There's a lot of them. There's a clear one that you can use, but it depends on your hair texture and what you like, what kind of result you guys like. But I would recommend argan oil because it usually works on all hair types. So, and after you do your edges, you do always want to clean them up on the outside because if not, you can have gel either on your face or somewhere. Sometimes I used to, when I first started, I used to get it on my shirt a lot because there was a lot of water and gel combined, so a lot of stuff would come off. Sometimes I dry them, sometimes I don't. We live in Key West, so you guys know that if you do dry them, they'll probably set better because it's really hot outside. But sometimes you can get out the house without drying them. And like today, it's not that hot out, so I can just go outside without even. Then, so these are these two on the side, these are these two. Then sometimes I have one that just swoops. It doesn't matter which side you put it on. Sometimes you can end up having 1, 2, and you split them up and go that way. Sometimes you won't have any at all. It depends on the which way you want to go. You're down here, you can either go up straight or you can go down, and that's I'm going to show you next after I do this middle one. You don't want to put too much down, because if you do, it's gonna end up really like mushy and squishy when you put it on, and then it won't lay down. And you don't want to put too less gel because then they're not gonna lay down. So and for black girls, it's harder too because our hair is very different. Our hair texture is different. And so when you're going to put it on, you might have to add more gel afterwards too. So here down here is kind of right here, that area. Right here, you can also add an extra swoop, but I never really do that because it doesn't look right. So it depends on how, I don't know, what your preference is, how you like to look. So right here, you just do the same thing, except you're going to go downwards. And this is the part usually that I have to use more gel on. So it depends on which way that I want to go. I can go inwards and then outwards again, or I can go like a little curly pattern. It just depends on what I want. It can be one big swoop. I think that's what I'm gonna do. It could be one big swoop, and then it could be something else. But I usually go outwards like this, and then down like a curl pattern. And that you have to form with your fingers, because the comb or the brush isn't gonna do that for you. The comb is just gonna line it up a little more, and then the brush is just gonna make it look fuller. So max time that it usually takes about this to do, edges all the way down, everything is probably 10 minutes. But really, that's if you want them to look perfect and you're going somewhere fancy. My school ones take like 2 minutes in the mirror. But this is usually like if I'm going out somewhere. Doesn't matter where I'm going, but still. So that's the curl pattern for this one. And you might want to, sometimes you have some hair right here, you might want to go down like that. And then for this one, it's the same thing. This one I can make a little more better with the curl pattern, because sometimes one looks bigger with the curls and then one doesn't. So yeah. So that's the end, guys. If you need any extra, if you do any extra, it's just a little swoop right here, kind of like these in the front. You want to go all the way out in a full circle when you do it. You don't want to just leave it halfway down, because then it's going to look really weird. There's going to be more tutorials of edges for the swoops and swirls, and kind of like the box ones that are shaped like this that go all the way down. For this one, it's pretty easy, 10-minute, 11-minute process, however long it takes you, but just, it's very easy to do. It's not something that hard to do, and I hope you guys like this. Comment down below, hit the bell, and subscribe. Bye.
CareyNMe Production. This is a CareyNMe Production.